Here from the MFL Awards Show. This will be the first ever MFL Awards Show where we determine a bunch of winners for separate awards of who had the best whatever of the season, best player, best play, best game, whatever it may be, and that will all be decided here tonight. And here are some of, or actually all of the awards being given out. First, Offensive Player of the Year. MVP, of course, Defensive Player of the Year, Protector of the Year, so lineman, Special Teams of the Year, but individual players, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Play of the Year, and Game of the Year. So we are going to start off here with Game of the Year. The contestants for this award is Dolphins at Vikings from week 3, Cardinals at Cowboys from week 14, Ravens at Bengals from week 8, and Rams at 49ers from week 1. And with the majority in the vote here, with 57% of the vote, the winner of this award is Rams at 49ers. Now, I voted for this game. Of course, we're not the only ones voting. You, I believe, voted for
Cardinals,
what?
Cowboys.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, Rams 49ers won this vote, and the rest of them all had the same amount of people vote, all at 14%.
Yeah, all tied at second. But yeah, Rams 49ers with kind of a dominant win here with 57% to 14% for all the other teams. So yeah, a week 1 game winning the award. It was an incredible game. It was the best game we did that week, and no surprise that it wins this poll. But coming up next, the best plays of the season. So we had a lot of crazy plays throughout the season, no doubt about that. And here are some of the contestants for play of the season. First, we have Marcus Jones' deflected interception on Sam Darnold.
In the New England versus
Seahawks game, yeah. Kyler Murray's Hail Mary to Michael Wilson from the 19-yard line to the 30-yard line.
That's funny enough about this play. That's part of the reason why Dallas Cardinals even got a finalist spot.
Yeah, got a contention. And then over here, Sam Darnold's Hail Mary to Brandon Cooks in overtime versus Cincinnati. Of course, that's when Sam Darnold was still on the Raiders. And then finally, Josh Allen breaking 4 tackles for a 30-yard run versus, I believe it was Cincinnati, yeah. So, the winner of this poll is Josh Allen breaking 4 tackles for a 30-yard run. One of the most impressive strengths from a QB. I mean, all those D linemen, like, just trying to tackle you down, and you still stay up and break out for 30 yards. I mean, that takes inhumane amounts of strength to do. So Josh Allen will win that award. For our Defensive Rookie of the Year class, here are some of the best players from the season. Jahad Campbell, the linebacker for the Eagles. Malachi Starks, the safety for the Baltimore Ravens. Abdul Carter, the linebacker for the New York Giants.
And Will Johnson, the cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals.
And the winner of this poll is the safety for the Baltimore Ravens, Malachi Starks. He was a steal for the Ravens in the first place. They got him pretty late considering the Ravens were a good team last year. And he balled out, got, I believe, 5 interceptions, loads of blocks. Was great against receivers and tight ends. And yeah, I mean, no shock that he wins this award here. He wins 40% of the vote. Oh yeah, I'm also going to mention the percents of the votes. Josh Allen breaking the 4 tackles for 30-yard runs. That one, 60% of the vote. And okay, yeah. So Malachi Starks here wins 40% of the vote. Jahad Campbell, Abdul Carter, and Will Johnson all tie at 20% of the vote. And now we will move on to Offensive Rookie of the Year. The players in contention for this are Cameron Ward, the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, He was a huge prospect, and one of the biggest prospects of the year last year with Shedeur Sanders. He got
the first overall pick.
Yeah, he got drafted first overall by Tennessee, and he has been incredible. So he's the favorite to win this poll. Travis Hunter, of course, one of the biggest prospects in draft history in general. Of course, for his tool ability. A lot of people would refer to him as the Ohtani of football. Of course, he's got the ability to play wide receiver and cornerback. He played more wide receiver for the Jags this year, and he's in this poll. Matthew Golden, the wide receiver for the Packers. The Packers were known for not drafting wide receivers. They finally did, and Matthew Golden balled out. And then finally, another QB, J.J. McCarthy, technically drafted in the 2024 draft. The 2024 draft. However, he was injured in the preseason, so he was eligible for Rookie of the Year in the 2025 class. And with that, the winner of Offensive Rookie of the Year by unanimous decision is the quarterback Cameron Ward for the Tennessee Titans, winning 67% of the vote. Travis Hunter did not receive any votes in this poll. Matthew Golden received 17%, and J.J. McCarthy also received 17%. Now for Special Teams of the Year. These are some of the most clutch kickers/punters, so obviously both are eligible for this award as they both qualify as special teams. Although only one punter has been nominated for this award, and the other three being kickers. So, here are the contestants. Logan Cook, the punter for the Jaguars. Chris Boswell, the legendary kicker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jake Elliott, the legendary kicker for the Philadelphia Eagles. And Brandon Aubrey, the legendary kicker for the Dallas Cowboys. But the winner of this poll is the only punter here. Logan Cook wins it with 50% of the vote.
Yeah.
Chris Boswell, 0% of the vote. Jake Elliott, 17% of the vote. And Brandon Aubrey with 33% of the vote.
One thing I have to say about this is Jake Elliott actually had a worse kicking percentage than Chris Boswell. Because Boswell only missed one kick all year. Yet Jake Elliott had more votes by a lot, too.
He only missed one more, though. That's why. He got more long kicks. That's probably why.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. He had one of the longer kicks of the year. I think it was like 65 yards. Anyways, for Protector of the Year, so this is a new award. Of course, a lot of people were always upset, like why offensive linemen never really got appreciation. Well, they are this year, and here are the contestants for that. So, of course, the legendary offensive tackle Lane Johnson, Walker Little, offensive tackle, Trent Williams, offensive tackle, and the rookie Will Campbell, an offensive tackle. So, with that, the winner of this poll is the offensive tackle in Philadelphia, Lane Johnson. He's been due for an award in general. One of the greatest offensive linemen of all time, and finally getting his flowers here in this poll as he wins 50% of the vote. Walker Little winning 6% of the vote. Trent Williams 22% of the vote, and Will Campbell 22% of the vote as well. For Defensive Player of the Year, there are 4 contestants, and those contestants are Josh Hines-Allen, the edge rusher, Trayvon Diggs, the cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, the defensive tackle Jalen Carter for the Philadelphia Eagles, and the linebacker TJ Watt for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the winner of the poll, another Eagle, Jalen Carter wins the poll. Of course, one of the leaders in sacks this year. Even got an interception versus Tennessee. So, he's been great in balling out. He's also one of the biggest prospects of all time. The Eagles were known for stealing him in the 2023 draft from the Saints. And, he's just been getting better with every season. In second place, though, with 29% of the vote, the edge rusher Josh Hines-Allen. Tying for third place, TJ Watt and Trayvon Diggs will tie at 10%. But Jalen Carter is your Defensive Player of the Year.
And for Offensive Player of the Year,
we have 4 contestants, of course, again. The running back, Josh Jacobs, who was probably the biggest part of the Packers offense this year. A lot of people would argue, aside from the defense, he's the reason they got the 2 seed. I mean, for a long time they went undefeated before eventually losing a game to, well, no, they didn't go undefeated. They only had one loss to the Miami Dolphins before eventually losing a game to the Panthers, and then they would have a little bit of a dip. But for the most part, Josh Jacobs kept this team alive, and they finished with 14-4, which is not only one of the best records in the NFC. In fact, it's tied for second place for the second best record in the NFC with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who also went 14-4, and only behind the Philadelphia Eagles, who went 15-3. But one of the best records in the league in general. So this is also considering AFC records, and it's better than any record the AFC had, because the one seed in the AFC was the Steelers, who finished 13-5. So Josh Jacobs, to say what he's done for this Packers team this year has been just incredible. So he is with the first name brought up. The second name, Offensive Player of the Year from last year, Saquon Barkley. Of course, had a little bit of a dip, but in the second half of the year was incredible. He, at one point, had 5 touchdowns in a game where they were just running him constantly. And he had a great postseason. So Saquon Barkley will be mentioned for the second year in a row. Third place is the rookie from last year, Brian Thomas Jr. It says running back. I meant wide receiver. Anyways, I corrected myself in the comments. However, he is, of course, the only wide receiver in this poll. And he had an incredible year last year. Was one of the leaders in yards in the league last year, and that was just as a
league. He led the league.
He did lead the league, and
touchdowns.
Yeah, and he was only a rookie, and then this year even more beneficial to the Jaguars offense.
Yeah, the only thing, he was almost a triple crown. He just didn't lead in receptions.
Yeah, and he again he's been very beneficial to the offense, coming in super clutch. In times where the Jags had nobody open, Brian Thomas Jr. was downfield open and helped the Jags win a lot of games that if he wasn't there, otherwise they probably wouldn't have won, or they wouldn't have won as much by, or whatever, however you want to say it. But anyways, he's third here in the poll. And not third place, just third mention. And finally, the second Jaguar in the poll, Tank Bigsby, who broke out way more than anyone expected him to break out. He was just expected to be kind of a holdover after ETN got traded to the Washington Commanders. However, Tank Bigsby had a great year.
Yeah.
He was one of the leaders in rushing. He had a load of touchdowns. And yeah, he will also be mentioned in this poll. And this is the closest poll we've had yet. And the winner of it is Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver, with 36% of the vote. Second place is Saquon Barkley with 29% of the vote. Third place is Tank Bigsby with 21% of the vote. And surprisingly last, considering you could argue he could have even won this award, Josh Jacobs with 14% of the vote.
Honestly, though, I think Josh Jacobs should have won this award.
Yeah, but I'd say it's between Jacobs and Brian Thomas Jr. But Brian Thomas Jr. winning Offensive Player of the Year in only his second year as a receiver, I think we are in for a legendary run. Yeah, and at some point he's going to be putting Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Jamar Chase conversations.
He already is, in my opinion.
So Brian Thomas Jr., your official Offensive Player of the Year, and finally, what you've all been waiting for, the MVP. So there are some names here on this list that have been considered before and haven't won it, or who have won it before. In fact, there's only one name on this list who's won it before. His name is Lamar Jackson. And then you have 2 other people who've been top 5 finalists in Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. And then for the first time, being a top 5 finalist in his career, Trevor Lawrence in the poll. All quarterbacks here. And yeah, so like I said again, Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles, Joe Burrow, who broke so many records this year, Trevor Lawrence, who broke out. This really was his breakout season. This was his make or break. And a lot of people before this were putting him in bust conversations, but
comparing him to Daniel Jones, which is just nuts.
Yeah, but he had an MVP caliber season this year. And then, of course, The
Daniel Jones is better.
And then, of course, the only person on this list who's even won MVP before, Lamar Jackson.
What a year this man had.
And, yeah, so Lamar, I mean, had over 2,000 rushing yards, over 3,000 passing yards, and totaled out with 33 touchdowns. And because of that, even though all these players had great games and great seasons in general, Jalen Hurts, for example, had 2 perfect games this season where he didn't throw a single incompletion. Trevor Lawrence had multiple games over 500 yards. Joe Burrow had an 800-yard and 9 touchdown game versus the Saints. But the winner of this poll is Lamar Jackson. He is now officially MB3, joining a list of several quarterbacks who've won the award 3 or more times, up with Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and many more. Lamar Jackson, for the 3rd time in his career, has won MVP. 2019, 2023, and now 2025. Lamar Jackson wins 88% of the vote.
This one was not close.
Yeah. Coming in second place was the man who, for months, was favored to win the award, Joe Burrow, at 7%.
In my opinion, I think the only reason why he didn't win the award was because of the injury he had later in the year.
Maybe, yeah.
I think he was going for 7,000 yards this year, which he already broke a record, but...
Yeah. And then Jalen Hurts, with 3% of the vote, comes in 3rd place. And in 4th place, Trevor Lawrence with 1% of the vote. Lamar, to say he dominated this poll is an understatement. But there's the awards. So to go over the awards one more time. The winner of Game of the Year, Rams at 49ers in Week 1. Play of the Year, Josh Allen breaking 4 tackles for a 30-yard run. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Malachi Starks, the safety. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Cameron Ward, the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. Special Teams of the Year, Logan Cook, the punter in Jacksonville. Protector of the Year, Lane Johnson, the offensive tackle in Philadelphia. Defensive Player of the Year, Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle in Philadelphia. MVP, Lamar Jackson. And Offensive Player of the Year, Brian Thomas Jr. There are your award winners for the 2025 season, and that is the award show for 2025.